Hi, everybody. For years, I have been working, which means chatting, with Brad here at the Grand Rapids Fire Department. And they have been engaged in visual management for a very long time. And there's a whole adoption story that goes along with that. But now what we have is we actually have a system that you see so rarely, which is actually adopted and sustaining. And so I want to talk a little bit today about the impacts of actually having sustaining and sustainable visual management. So again, with us here is Alex and Brad. So Alex, would you like to introduce yourself first to the audience?
Sure. Yes, my name's Alex Basler. I am the Grand Rapids Fire Department's Performance and Management Reporting Specialist. I work a lot with data and information management, incident reports, apparatus maintenance, checklists, that sort of thing, and also creative problem solving with certain projects. We have our most recent nearest implementation is going to be underway very, very soon. And so I'm in charge of that. And then for whatever conversation and inspiration we can help each other with.
Beautiful. And Brad.
Brad Brown, Fire Chief. Been here, 23 years with the fire department. And Jim, I think we're going on about 10 years now,
Yes.
going back and forth with some visual management, and been in the chief role coming up on 3 years. So happy to say that we're still using a lot of different pieces and parts of the system. A lot of changes the first few years, but it's really settled down. The last 4 or 5 years, we've maybe done one or two small tweaks, but it's easy, it works, and we just kind of quit touching it, right?
hmm
So
So up on the screen here, we have six pictures, current pictures, one of which includes a dog. But in the other picture I have of this hallway, there's about 80 people smashed in front of those boards.
yes,
So I see that you've been downsizing.
yes, absolutely, absolutely,
Stand-up meeting only involves four legs now as opposed
yeah.
to about 160. But when you sent me over these images, uh, I assume they were important to you. So
Yes.
what in these images is important to you?
So I will cover the back hallway with the dog. That's Smokey, the fire dog. And I can cover the one to the right, which is my board as fire chief in that hallway. And I'll do the top left one, which is a roster. And I'll let Alex cover all the rest because that's her world.
Okay.
Um, that picture with the dog is our back hallway at headquarters. We've been doing a weekly stand-up meeting where we walk down the hallway and look at various pieces of data, information, and answer four questions. And I know last time we were together years ago in Nashville at a conference, um, I was just really tweaking those questions, and they've been the same four questions for quite a few years now.
hmm
And I even did my doctoral research on the implementation of strategic plans and whether this management system, policy deployment system, which personal Kanban and visual management is a huge piece of that, would we be more effective in implementing strategic plans? And the answer was yes. So I'll save you reading a boring doctoral thesis. But every Monday we go
Yeah,
back there.
it can be completely summarized in the word yes.
Yes,
I
correct.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. We're firefighters. We like to get to the point. So yes, yes is better. So there's four questions that everyone answers going down this hallway. And as you so astutely mentioned, yes, we have about 30 people crammed into this hallway. The station was built in 1910. We have one very small conference room. We really don't have like a good place to meet and discuss large amounts of information. So we chose the back hallway. And as we're going down, we like people to cover what were their major accomplishments last week. Not everything you did. I can look at your calendar. Give me the highlight reel because we're all
Okay.
busy. Tell me what you learned I can't be inside your head. So tell me what you learned last week that you need to share with the group that's going to help us. Tell me what your focus is this upcoming week. Again, don't read me your calendar. You don't want to see my calendar. It'll make you nauseous. Give me the top highlights of what you're really going to think about working on, your doing column, if you will, for next week. And then finally, help. What help do you need? Not do you need help? Because if you say, do you need help? The answer is always going to be no. We say, what help do you need? We'll still get a no every now and then, but generally that causes people to pause, think, and really come up with, Alex, I really need help with this piece of data to get over to mobile GR this week. And it prompts me to be forthcoming with her and work through that. So if it's a holiday or we get really busy, we will cancel the walkthrough. But I would say we probably hit 60 to 75% of the Monday afternoons. You know, 2/3, 3/4 of the Mondays, we're still going down this. This is part of our routine.
Awesome.
To the right of the dog, that's my board. And so we're working on some big construction projects right now, have some Gantt charts, different timelines, some elevations, and then as fire chief, the previous chiefs did not do this, but I felt it was important for, in the effort of full transparency, people to know what I was working on, and I wanted to share that with them every week. So as the leader of the department, I answer the same 4 questions that everyone else does.
Mm.
And it's good for me because I'm telling you, at the end of the week, I basically have forgotten what I've done. So I go back through my Outlook calendar. I go back through the pile that was on my desk that I'm going to clean out. So I start fresh each week.
Mm-hmm.
I go back through my sticky notes and my dry erase board in the office. And it causes me to really think about what I got done last week and the information I need to share. The last thing I'll share, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Jim or Alex, would be that top left photo. So that is a roster. We have 240 personnel in the Grand Rapids Fire Department. We have 12 fire stations. We have 3 shifts. And when I was deputy chief of support services doing all the HR work, I didn't have this. I was overwhelmed trying to keep track of a spreadsheet. We were constantly missing things, people coming off shift or back on shift from military leave, FMLA, medical leave, and it was super hard to keep track of. And so we have a new deputy chief of support services. And about a month ago, we were talking, and I'm like, man, I wish we had a better way to keep track of the roster. I said, I know it seems old school, but I'd rather have a manual system because I think you learn better and you make that connection when you're touching a name and you're moving it versus
Mm-hmm.
clicking in a spreadsheet. And well, I'll just say it, sure as shit. I came in next week and he had this. He had hung a whiteboard vertical, ordered a ton of magnets, labeled everything over the
Oh
weekend,
my God. That's a lot of
and
labels.
yeah, and color coded it. And so now he was out of town last week on vacation, and one of the other chiefs was able to maintain this board.
Okay.
We literally just put notes on the dry erase board next to it of what we did, and we were able to move the roster. And at any moment, we can tell you how many people we have on which apparatus, which shift, sick leave, military leave, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we're early into this, but he's really liking it. I'm really liking it. And the rest of the staff that has to help with the roster management likes it. We've had an electronic staffing program for coming up on 30 years. We were a very early adopter of Telestaff,
Mm-hmm.
Kronos, workforce Telestaff. We still like that, but I saw you put that box up there. This
Yep.
is simple. This is easy. You're not mistaking the meaning of what a certain tag means, what a color means, or where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it takes a lot of the mistakes out of that and just makes it to where our admin assistant at the front desk can come in and know where people are at and move things around. So
So this is engine
that'd be the
four, and this
one
is
new
shift
iteration
one,
I would
shift
share with
two.
you in the last few years is the manual old school roster.
Awesome. So this is like engine four, and this is shift one, shift two, and shift three.
Yep.
And
ABC shift,
yeah.
officer, captain, lieutenant, equipment operator, driver. And then based on the little magnets, are they on acting assignment? Is it their normal assignment?
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of nuances to keeping that roster up. And frankly, in the computer just wasn't working.
Beautiful. And does this mean guess not?
Yeah,
The little
exactly.
squiggles?
Like,
Okay. So that's great because I mean the beautiful thing about this is just immediacy. You and what we've noticed about the tactile visual management systems is that you get different epiphanies, whereas if you're just looking at it on a screen, it's kind of like information that you just kind of take in and it just kind of flows right through you.
yes,
But here it's you feel almost compelled to do something with the magnet.
yes,
And then if you
yes,
can't do something with the magnet, then you feel very comfortable with the fact that the magnet is there. It's like that magnet, the barrier of change on screen is a lot higher than the barrier of screen of changes with a magnet. I love that. Um, and
we
I
had
also love that
oh,
you have the actual, digital system. And the
mhm,
digital system's still in place, but that doesn't preclude you from needing to do like more tactical work on the board.
correct.
Yeah.
Our default in Grand Rapids Fire is stand up and go to the dry erase board. Like if we're in the conference room and there's a budget issue, a process issue, a timeline issue, some offices you'll see people typing on a laptop and doing stuff.
Hmm.
That's not our default. Our default is go pick up the marker, go stand at the board and start working on it. And I love that. I love that about us.
Awesome. All right. So, I have a million questions, but I don't want to ask them right now. So, Alex, the other four images apparently are your images, or I guess, and the perspective going down the hallway. So, what would you like to talk about the boards?
Yeah, I can hit the first two in the upper right corner.
Okay.
That's in my office. I share an office. I'm in the strategic planning division, and that was originally created to get us through accreditation. Brad helped create that. Along with his cohort Rob Pease, who's no longer here, but still brings over some of his current coworkers and shows them around. Um, and I'm in there with a captain and a lieutenant uh, from suppression. So we're all there together. And the picture on the left is our weekly schedule. And
Hmm.
this has evolved over time. We actually had one or two more, depending. We had the IT professional in here as well. And the really basic purpose of this was to, it's not just to see your calendar, because
Hmm.
we have all this in Outlook. We could do that. It's easier to get to, frankly. But we really utilize that. As a method of discussion. And again, that kind of tactile thing, like you're putting this up on the board. And
Hmm.
this is, like I said, it's evolved over time. There are some weeks I do this, some weeks I don't, where I put the number of hours for a meeting in here, or how much time I think I'm going to spend. And you can see it fluctuates here. We have one individual who's on vacation, but if somebody just comes in and they look like, where is Molly? Well, she's on vacation until Friday. And some days are light. There's a Thursday in there where Mike has like one thing that might take half a day.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it helps us kind of keep us a little controlled at times when we're like, we're gonna do these 10 things. Well, you just scheduled yourself 20 hours of work in one day. Might be a little excessive. Let's spread that out. Um, so like I said, this does evolve based on other projects we have, but it's still a really great reference to use, and folks still come in and look at this, especially if we're not there.
Okay. And so is that the key in the upper right that things written in red are for accreditation? Black things are
Yes.
planning, blue is ISO, and is
Yep.
that purple? Purple for lean?
Purple for lean. Yep. And then
Yeah.
out of office is something an orange. So we can tell. And that also, depending on the project, like we had an ISO project last year, it would crop up every now and then. So there was much more blue. But
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that there's a balance because we really, that office, it should be touching accreditation at least once a week in some way, shape, or form. And then also, really I mean, I love the orange to really say like, hey, we're gone for these couple days if there's nobody going to
Mm-hmm.
be here, just to make sure we communicate that out. Um, what you don't see is there is another board off to the right, like on a door that is 2 months worth, where we even go out farther, like who's on
Okay.
vacation coming out, and that one's really for big things to keep aware of, to make sure we're all aware of. So again, all of these have evolved, and I've been here now almost 8 years, 8 full years,
Mm-hmm.
a little shy. And I was taught this right off the bat by the captain at the time, and we have had now multiple lieutenants and actually multiple captains
Mm-hmm.
come through the office in those 8 years. So it's been interesting teaching this and teaching the Kanban, which is the other item. But we do have other things on here. We have our strategic plan. We have um, some other standard of works and reminders to like things that we might need to use and we don't want to lose track of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a there's other calendars, and again, a lot of these calendars, it was I think the most beneficial thing is kind of just talking out what the next month is going to look like, what the next week is going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
to understand that week is going to be really tough for the captain. He's going to be really busy. He needs the lieutenant to take up the slack, or someone's going to be gone, and so they need to be a backup. And just try to balance that.
When we talk about these things and what this board is doing, this board is allowing the team, your team of three, because people are like, my team's not big enough to worry about these things. It's like, well, more than one human being needs to worry about these things. But what we want to do is be able to act with confidence. And to be able to do that, you need to know what you're doing, what the rest of the team is doing, and then how
Hmm.
that fits into the strategy and the short-term operations or tactics of the team. And so, what I like about this is that there's a variety of types of work that are flowing through here, the accreditation, ISO, lean, and stuff. So you're right. You have the data in Outlook, but Outlook doesn't show you the relationships behind the data. And this thing shows all of those relationships, which is what I love about this. And people are sometimes hesitant to do boards like this in their Obeya or in their control centers because they feel like they already have the data somewhere else and it's double entry. And what they're not taking into account is that like the information is double duty. The information isn't just your time data. It's how does Alex relate to Molly, who relates to Mike, and when can you collaborate and when can you not? When can you combine forces to get things done faster or more deeply? And then, like I said, act with confidence. So I
Yep.
love I love what's up here, and I love the fact that this is attached to it.
Hmm.
So all of these things, even if it's subconsciously, are being filtered through response, training, prevention, wellness, and et
Of
cetera,
course. Yes.
right?
Hmm.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Um, and that's just so important to us. So a lot of the work that we do, we'll do like an X matrix or some other strategic session with people calling themselves leadership. And then they will give a very boiled down set of bullet points to the people working with them, and then they never know how to deploy them. So the fact that these are like immediately deployable, I think is pretty awesome. Did you want to add anything to this board or?
Well, I had a comment,
Yeah.
but I will say two things. One is I'm going to repeat that this board has evolved,
Mm-hmm.
based on need, based on even individual preference. We used to have in our team of three daily stand-up huddles, the three of us. but we realized we didn't actually need that anymore to that extent. And I actually have a different meeting with with our IT person. And that was a big, big change because it's always been like, I think it was a change about a year, maybe a little less ago that we changed that. And but it was realizing I needed to have another type of huddle with a person who wasn't on here anymore so I could bring it back to the group. And Molly and Mike now have their own huddle once a week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really great. And then also the fact, and you probably can see, is that there's a column in there has carry forward at the top. There's not a lot in
Yep.
there. Those are some of the questions that Brad had mentioned. There's a major accomplishments, a learning, and tasks. And it was made to do those same questions, like what are your major accomplishments? What have you learned? The tasks were meant to be what didn't we finish last week and pull it
Mm-hmm.
over. But it's just our work style and how we work this. We answer these questions on the board outside, and we don't have to, the board at where Smokey was at, we don't have to do that. So we're actually in the
Right.
process of, do we need, like, what else can we use in that space? We don't just want to use it because it's something that was set up before.
Yeah, awesome. And there's a lot of things that you changed in there that are difficult for teams to change. So daily huddles definitely feel sacred, and
Mhm.
people are very, very unlikely to change the daily huddle, even if they have provided a better way to provide that information and they get together every day and stare at each other and say, "Why are we doing this?" They still won't, they still won't do it. Then the other thing is just that we find quite often that we have to tell teams you can change this, and they're like, "Well, what can we change about it?" And we're like, "Everything." It's like, well, if
Mhm.
we can change everything, then it has no value. It's like, no, if you can't change anything, then it has no value. So I love that you got this and that you felt the confidence and the support to be able to allow it to evolve as the team needed. So
Yeah.
then there's this one as well.
Yes, that's actually me at my desk. Brad
Okay.
snuck in behind me and said, "Act natural." Um, so this one actually is kind of a unique view because this is yesterday. It was Monday. So if you just look at this and you look at kind of the headers, I have my next and doing up at the top,
Yeah.
and then in the lower right corner I have done. And I actually incorporated the done by date because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I only get half that board filled up, and then I just push it another week. So in 2 weeks, maybe. So I can see it took 2 weeks to do this many,
Okay.
in that bottom
Oh,
right
here.
corner. Yes. Yep. So on
Yep.
Monday, by the time he came in, I had done three things. One was a post-it from earlier, and then
Mm-hmm.
up above, right under the done by title, those are things that I have to do every week. And
Okay.
rather
Okay.
than make a post-it every week, I
Yeah.
just erase and update because those just always need to happen.
Understood.
Um, I have redone, and it's kind of like folks if they've ever needed to like redo their living room or just move things around to make it fresh. Um, I have done that. I have evolved this over the years many, many times, and I will say that the doing part is the
Mm-hmm.
hardest for me to keep small.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had to teach the other two when they came up from the streets to come into strategic planning, that was probably the most difficult thing, I think, for them. And still for me, I still struggle with it. Of keep like you cannot be doing 10 things at once.
Mm-hmm.
At
No,
least not effectively.
you can't, yeah, not effectively. So it's meant to be a small thing, and really, I force myself to keep that to one or two post-its, and if they better be related.
Beautiful. Yeah, so it's one of the things that's nice there is that you've got physical space that will only comfortably hold four post-it notes, maybe
Yeah,
six, but they wouldn't be comfortable. And so the
they would
moment that
not.
they start to feel crowded, then that makes you kind of feel anxious, and then you're more likely to just say, I'm not doing those other things today. I'm going to get a couple of these out. I will note that it's a very impressive waiting column you've got there.
Oh yeah. And that is actually at that moment, now is okay, this is getting ridiculous. What actually is waiting?
Hmm.
And when we used to do weekly huddles as a group, that was one thing I would always point out on myself and others is, okay, tell me who you're waiting for on that or what
Uh-huh.
you're waiting for. And half of those usually come off because you
Okay.
realize that it's time. Either they were in there because it's couldn't start for the next month.
Uh-huh.
So, oh, next month, let's put it and it goes into the ready.
Okay.
It doesn't go into next, it just goes into the ready unless there's a some type of priority.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I love using my Kanban for that. You'd mentioned that tactile feature, but
Mm-hmm.
it to get up and actually have it in my hand and consider it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it feels like I need to take everything down and use the priority matrix, and I do, and
Mm-hmm.
I draw that on a whiteboard and I lay everything out. I
Mm.
have an associate come with me and is like, all right, let's talk about this. And I work with my current supervisor, who's the information system coordinator, to ask the questions. Like, okay, this has been out there for a while. You'll notice the colors.
Mm-hmm.
They are related to the month, and we're the
Oh,
only division that does that anymore. The entire
right.
department did follow the same thing. We all use the same color for January through December. And when I remember when it happened, when everyone else stopped, and I turned to my cohorts like, we are not stopping this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll fight you for it because it is so helpful to look at this immediately. And I can tell by the color, there's two things on there
Yep.
from January. And there's a reason why they're on there. Keep working on them, put them back. But it begs that question is like, these have been out there for that many months. What's going on here? What's the story?
Yeah. No, I love that. It's interesting. You'll take the things down, then prioritize them, then put them back up. You have your what problem are you trying to solve
Oh,
thing here, which I like. Right near, and
Right.
right next to that, I might put another one that just says
yeah.
seriously, because sometimes you can rationalize a problem you're trying to solve, but it's harder to rationalize seriously. Um,
Mhm. We have lots
the
of solutions looking for problems
Yep,
sometimes. So,
yep, yep.
Hmm.
Or it's I know this never happens, but it might be more of a politically popular problem to solve as opposed to an actual functional problem to solve.
Yeah.
Um, so I love your repeating tasks or your responsibilities area here. So these are more than just repeating tasks. These are like different tasks that fall into different areas of responsibility, and they're written in white marker pen because they can change, right? Or like
Yeah, and
over
those
time.
those actually the ones that you'd mentioned, the where it says IT or prevention,
Hmm.
I have reoccurring in EMS. Those are
Hmm.
actually reoccurring meetings, like standing meetings biweekly,
Hmm.
that I will, unless it's something urgent, they're going in there. So I don't have to think, how do I prioritize these? It's just, okay, I'm going to bring these to the next meeting.
Awesome. Okay.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then that it's almost its own prior reprioritization column. So I also like the waiting column because I did notice the dates in there, and now that I notice there's a direct correlation between the date and the color of the sticky. When your board looks like this and your ready column is 100% at capacity, what happens when something new is ready? Does you just smash it into intake and hope that something changes or
Yeah. So I used to just have a one big ready and it
uh-huh.
goes on the bottom. And if for some reason it filled up, I called it a hard stop
Mm-hmm.
where I'm not going to make any more post-its until this clears up. And I
Okay.
just flag them in my inbox. And then every month I would go in there and grab the ones in there, unless a chief level or something was coming up that was absolute drop everything and do this,
Mm-hmm.
which those are supposed to be rare, and they are rare
Mhm.
when they happen. But now what happens is I actually don't, anything in the intake or below are things that are new this week. They don't even
Okay.
go in my ready.
Okay.
Again, unless it's some type of priority. And that's why I tend to leave the next, there's an open spot in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's for that amorphous, Chief Kim, and even today, our deputy chief of ops is like, hey, I'm looking for this GIS file and it's supposed to be in here. And it's like, all right, let me look at this real quick. So, and sometimes like I said, those full stops, those don't happen very often. And I do somewhat control how many post-its I make. A lot of those in purple that you see are for our accreditation project, and some of them are just reminders, and they are going to become multiple post-its. It's just I can't lose track of that overarching goal.
Awesome. So what I like about this whole block is that we have from the very personal to, and this is actually very personal,
Hmm.
to the very relational, like the top level relational, and then kind of everything in between. You
Yep.
got short, small team, but here you've got entire fire department, literally every human represented here, all the way down to one person or one dog.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I in lean and agile and all of these things, people worry so much about scaling. And it's just usually the same information that if you just provide it visually, it kind of balances out. You've got individual, you've got team, you've got entire org, and it just kind of flows nicely. And if you don't worry too much about it and just figure out what problem you're trying to solve with the visualization, then it just happens. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left here. So did you want to cover either of these? Like, is there one of these that's super interesting? I shouldn't say it that way, but
Well,
you know
I
what I
think the
mean.
only one that was left was the one in the bottom left and
Okay.
left corner, and it's just a Gantt chart. It's our accreditation project, and it's a way for us to know in like September, which is about where your cursor is. That's the week we're in. We've started the things, and we're actively working on it. So it's just a way for us to keep organized and um, I'm now accreditation manager, and I will go through this. I'm going through this with my strategic planning folks every week, and our names are in there. And so I look in here, I was like, okay, did you work on this week? Yes or no? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, again, I tend to be a little rough, and it's not that I don't want to know the more, but sometimes I
Hmm.
just need to know yes or no. And if no, that's okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. Like, did you work on this one, or what came up, or oh, the weather was really nice this week, we decided to take the initiative and do pictures. We can have that conversation,
Yep.
but these things better be post-its on the board.
Okay.
That's the relationship between like the things that I have on here, they're on my board. So if they're not, they don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it comes down to who's doing what by when, and we use stoplight colors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to Alex's point, I don't care if there's a red hanging out in the August column, but if there's seven reds hanging out in August, I probably want to find out why and what help they need to get those going, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, at a glance, we have stuff like this all over the place, and it's just that quick visual reference. I don't have to go on the computer. I don't have to go find it. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
have to find Alex. I can walk
Mm-hmm.
down the hallway on the way to the restroom or the break room and just glance at it for about 15, 20 seconds. And I got a pretty good sense of where we're going. And then I'm not going to bother her, right? Like Alex and I love hanging out and talking, but we're both really busy. So if I don't have to go in her office and interrupt her, I won't do that, right? So
Yeah. So what I love about this is this isn't like mission critical information where you have like if you don't get it, the entire department's gonna fold. What this
correct.
is ensuring that even the small jobs that are underway, that everybody understands where they are so that those don't become ambient work in progress or they don't get in the way of more important things. So it's like we don't need to ruin people's career by by visualizing this information, but what we do need to do is coordinate so that you have the bandwidth for when something really comes up that we can deal with it. And dare I say it, you're a fire department, so other places might not have the emergencies you do, but but you're setting yourself up so that you can deal with those emergencies in the best possible way by making sure that these kind of workaday things are handled professionally, quickly, responsibly, etc.
Mhm.
The urgent and important work takes
Yeah.
place on the big red fire truck 75, 80 times a day in the city.
Yeah.
that work that Alex is managing is
Yep.
very important. It's not urgent, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference.
Yep.
And I'm okay with seeing some passive information for that.
Yep.
The big red trucks, we keep track of those down to the second. So
Yes, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and with big displays and maps and everything.
yeah,
But the thing is that if no one does these things, then they become urgent and important at some point when
correct.
you might not be able to continue operating because you don't have the right certifications or the right information or whatever. So
Absolutely
Yeah.
correct.
I love that.
There's enough crisis out there where lives are at stake, health is at stake. Managing your just this type of workflow shouldn't be that crisis.
Right,
In The
right.
Incredibles, I think it is, Syndrome says, when everyone's super, no one is. I've said it to some folks, it's like, oh, it's an emergency that I write up this. If everything's an emergency, is it?
Yes. Yeah, what problem are you trying to solve
Hmm.
is not what is your major malfunction.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so thank you both for joining me and going through this today.
Happy to be here. This is fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. It was good to connect again.